Aside from drawing out assets using tools within Flash Professional, we also are able to import assets created with other applications. This lesson will demonstrate this process. So here in Flash Professional, I have basically a blank document, and what I'm going to do is pull in a variety of file types. So the first thing I'll pull in is a file from Adobe Illustrator. And I can just drag that in with my mouse, or I can actually go to File and choose Import. And when I import, I can choose to import to Stage or import to Library. When I import to Library, it simply won't put it on our stage. If I import to Stage, it will both put items within the library and place items upon the stage. The simplest way, though, is to simply drag in elements. So I'm going to drag in this Adobe Illustrator file, and we can see that we get a little dialog saying that the importing is taking place. And then it brings up this import to stage dialog for us. So here we have a number of different things that we can do. If we have multiple artboards in our Illustrator file, we can choose the one we want to import from. And you can see here that we have all of our different layers, paths, pieces of text, really everything that we could possibly want from our Illustrator file. So here we get an incompatibility report where we can see exactly what is incompatible with Flash. So these are the things that actually won't come over. So some of the live effects, some effects like feather and pointillize and so forth. So we're going to close that. And here it has suggested to us a number of different objects to import as. So here it's recommending that we import this as text, and we can create it as editable text. We can break it down into vector outlines, in which case it will not be editable, or we can render it as a bitmap. In this case, again, it will not be editable. We can also embed this in a movie clip symbol and give it a particular name. So maybe I'll just call this text1. So we can see that now instead of a text symbol, we actually have a movie clip symbol here. Here are some layers that were actually hidden, so we can toggle these back on if we want to. And any of these little checkboxes will toggle whether these particular layers and objects are actually imported to Flash or not. And you can see you can actually do that to an entire layer or an entire group. So here we have a number of different paths, and these will import as editable paths, or we can render them as a bitmap image. And again, we have the option of creating a movie clip symbol for this. Here down at the bottom, we can import the different layers as Flash layers. We can import them each as separate keyframes across the timeline, or we can import everything as a single Flash layer. I'm going to choose Flash layers. Here we can choose to place objects at their original position, whether to set the stage size to the same as the Illustrator artboard, and it brings that artboard in there for us, so I'm going to choose that for sure. Whether or not to import unused symbols, or to simply import everything as a single bitmap image. So these are the choices I'm going to make for this file, and I'll hit OK. So here we go through the process, and we can see that it has indeed changed the stage for us. And if we go to Show All, we can see all the different items that it's imported. So these items it imported as a group. Here is some text, and this is an actual movie clip. If you remember, we created a movie clip from this during import called text001. You can see here that it's also imported some filters. So this had a glow filter on it, and it's brought that over for us. So let's undo. All right, so now we're back at our original unmodified stage. So this time I'm going to bring in an Adobe Photoshop PSD file. And again, I'm dragging that to the stage. And this Photoshop file doesn't have nearly as many layers and so forth as our other document did, but we get many of the same options. So we can choose which particular layers to import using these checkboxes. And we can choose to import text as editable text, as vector outlines, or as a flattened bitmap image. We can also, once again, create movie clip symbols for the layer and choose the registration point of these movie clip symbols. I'm going to bring this one in as editable text. I'll bring this one in as vector outlines. And you can notice that when we choose vector outlines, it will automatically create a movie clip symbol for us. And then these two are fine as bitmap images. You can see here that we can also choose for images the publish settings, such as compression, whether to use lossy or lossless, and the particular quality. We can calculate the bitmap size. So we have one bitmap here, and here's our compressed size. And again, we can convert to Flash layers, or we can choose keyframes in this case, place them at the original position, and set the stage to the Photoshop canvas size. So I'm going to hit OK, and it brings all these elements in here for us. So let's fit in window. And we can see it doesn't do exactly the best job sometimes, but it's easy enough to actually change any of this stuff. So if I just sort of go into this text field here, you see it's fully selectable. If we needed to adjust any of that, we can do so. Here we have a bitmap image. And up here, this is the layer that I asked Flash to convert to text outlines. We can see that we have a group here within that movie clip symbol, and then each individual letter here is another group within which we have our text outlines. So I'm going to revert again to our original stage. So this is before we brought anything in once again. And the last thing I'll show is how to import a simple bitmap image. So here I'm dragging a bitmap image, and this is just a JPEG. You could also do it with a ping or a GIF or something. And I simply drag and drop this image on the stage here. And doing this, I can use this within my project just fine. So this has been an example of how to import assets within Flash Professional CS6.